Okay, let's totally dismantle everything you think you know about how high-end storefronts protect their valuables. If you've ever walked past a jewelry store, you've probably made some assumptions about how they keep all those diamonds and luxury watches safe, right? Well, today, we're basically going to reverse engineer a heist. By looking at the exact method security pros use to lock down a storefront, we're going to see exactly how store security layers work. And honestly, it is completely different from what you see in the movies.
Picture those heavy metal shutters rolling down over a jewelry shop at closing time. We've all seen them on almost every major city street. But what exactly do you think they're guarding in the dark? It's so easy to assume that sitting just behind that corrugated metal is millions of dollars worth of sparkling inventory, just waiting for the sun to come up.
But the reality? It's a total illusion. Those tough-looking barriers aren't actually guarding $250,000 in loose diamonds. In fact, if a store is doing things right, they aren't guarding much inventory at all.
Security installer Jessie Bajwa really hits the nail on the head here. He points out that any smart jeweler moves the loose stones, the high-end pieces, and those luxury watches off the floor and into a highly rated backroom safe. Every single night. The safe is the vault. The shutter? Not the vault. It's this fascinating misconception that even some jewelers fall for when they're shopping for security equipment.
So here is our blueprint for this explainer. 1. The nighttime myth. 2. The sidewalk to safe blueprint. 3. The real fight during open hours. 4. When barriers fail. And finally, number 5. The ultimate goal.
Okay, section 1. The nighttime myth. Shutters and glass. Let's look at what actually happens when that neon open sign flicks off and the street goes quiet.
What's actually wild here is that those perforated see-through shutters, they're mostly just there to protect the storefront glass itself, not the jewelry. Their main job is to act as a visual deterrent, make the store look like the absolute hardest target on the block so a smash-and-grab crew just walks right on by. Plus, cities like San Francisco literally require storefront security to be see-through. Why? Well, if an alarm trips at 2 a.m., passing police patrols and street cameras absolutely need to be able to see inside. So again, the shutter guards the glass, but the safe guards the value.
Moving to section 2, the sidewalk to safe blueprint, mapping the layers. If the shutter is just the outermost shell for the night, let's see how a complete, invisible fortress is built from the outside in. True security? It's never just one product. It is a full, comprehensive system.
This right here is exactly how store security layers work. Every single layer covers a gap the others can't reach, filtering out threats as you move from the street all the way to the heavy vault in the back. First, you've got the sidewalk layer. That's invisible riot glass layered onto the storefront windows. Then, the door. Usually a buzz-in magnet lock to screen groups before they even step foot inside. Inside, the display cases themselves are heavily reinforced. And finally, you have that heavy rated safe in the back room, securing the real value overnight.
All right, section 3, the real fight, open hours. Now, the major twist here is that the quiet overnight hours, they aren't actually the real danger. The absolute biggest threat to a jewelry store happens right in the middle of a busy, sunny afternoon.
The attack a jeweler actually loses to is the daytime smash and grab. Picture this. 2 or 3 people stroll in while the store is completely open for business. One pulls the staff's attention, another takes a literal hammer to a display case, and boom, they are out the door with the inventory in under 60 seconds. In that specific moment, the massive heavy safe in the back room is totally useless because all the valuable pieces are out on the floor being sold.
And this brilliantly highlights the ironic vulnerability of physical security. Think about it. The shutter does nothing at noon, and the buzz-in does nothing at 2 in the morning. The heavy overnight barriers are completely useless when the store is open. You literally cannot run a retail business from behind a solid steel wall. You have to invite people in, which means you are constantly walking this tightrope, balancing the need to be welcoming with the need to be incredibly secure.
So, what's the actual defense here? The true hero of the daytime fight is the display case itself. Installers use a material called polycarbonate. It's a clear, super rigid sheet that totally replaces standard glass. When a thief takes a full swing with a hammer at it, the polycarbonate absorbs the impact. The hammer literally bounces off. The case holds, the quick grab window completely shuts down, and honestly, rather than stand there awkwardly hammering away at a case that just won't break while everyone in the room watches, the thieves usually just give up and walk away. So whether we're talking about riot glass applied to the inside of the front windows to stop a nighttime brick, or polycarbonate on the jewelry cases to stop a daytime hammer, the absolute most effective security is entirely invisible. A high-end storefront has to look like a high-end storefront. The absolute magic of these layers is that they wait in plain sight, completely unnoticed by anyone until a weapon actually strikes them.
Which brings us to Section 4, when barriers fail, the armed robbery. It is absolutely crucial to understand not just how these systems work, but to understand their limits. Because as impressive as these layers are, they aren't magic force fields.
This is the harsh truth that a lot of installers honestly won't tell their clients. No physical barrier in the world stops a violent armed robbery. If someone walks into a store, pulls a weapon, and forces an employee to just open a case from the bottom with their own key, well, the indestructible glass, the heavy shutters, and those fancy magnetic doors immediately become 100% useless.
When a physical barrier fails like that, the situation instantly shifts from an engineering problem to a human response problem. This is exactly where the invisible operational layers of security kick in. Stores rely on hidden panic buttons, live off-site camera monitoring, and most importantly, rigorously rehearsed staff response plans. A truly honest security expert will tell a store owner straight up that they can't make them untouchable. They can only prepare them for how to respond.
Finally, Section 5, the ultimate goal, making it barely worth trying. Let's take a step back and look at the whole picture to really grasp the underlying philosophy of a professional security installer. Spoiler alert, it's not about building an impenetrable bunker.
In the real world, there is no such thing as a 100% untouched store. The ultimate goal of combining all these layers together, the shutters, the buzz-in doors, the riot glass, the polycarbonate, the backroom safe, is simply to manipulate time and effort. Put together, they make every version of the attack slow, loud, and barely worth trying. The objective is to make the target so incredibly frustrating to crack, the criminals do the math in their heads and just decide to skip it entirely.
I really hope this explainer totally changes how you look at the retail spaces around you. Next time you walk past a jewelry store, see if you can spot the invisible layers before they spot you. Keep your eyes open, because as we've seen today, the most fascinating, high-stakes mechanics of our everyday world are hiding right in plain sight, cleverly disguised as ordinary glass and metal.